I firmly believe that when we begin to understand the truth of who we are, the reasons that we hate begin to vanish. The hate is based upon a way of thinking. We've been taught that nature, for example, the fundamental rule of nature is competition, conflict, struggle. And when I say that to an audience, they say, okay, Greg, you know, big deal. Charles Darwin, he said that was 150 years ago, but hey, this is the 21st century. You know, we have the internet. What difference does it make? And it's a really good question. And the young people, when I speak to the young people, they're amazed at the answer. And the answer is, yes, this is the 21st century. And the society that we live in today, the foundations of the society were put into place in the late 1800s. Precisely at the time the theory of evolution was being embraced wholeheartedly by the scientific community. Our economic system is based upon this theory of competition. Our corporate system is based upon this theory. The way we share vital resources, energy, and food, and water in the world, it's all based upon this thinking of competition, conflict, struggle, scarcity. This is what we said to the UN. The new discoveries are that nature is, the fundamental rule of nature is cooperation. That is a 180-degree shift from everything that I was ever taught. It helps us to think very, very differently. For me, it all comes back to that DNA. What the DNA studies are now showing us is that the DNA that gives us our unique humanness, makes us who we are, that gives us our ability for sympathy, empathy, compassion. The neocortex, I know some of your other guests have talked about, it's the largest part of the human brain, 6 layers of the brain. Very unique neurons, no other form of life has. What gives us those things is a fusion of DNA that happened 200,000 years ago. Chromosomes were fused together in a very precise way, and beyond the fusion, after the fusion happened, there were portions of those chromosomes that were added, portions that were taken away, and stabilized this fusion in a way that scientists tell us cannot be the product of evolution as we know it today. There appears to be an intentionality. And this is where science now is in forbidden territory, because if there's an intentionality underlying the way these chromosomes were fused, it implies a purpose. And this is where science is up against a brick wall right now, because that is beyond the purview of what science as we know it can tell us. If this happened only in one chromosome, you could see maybe it was a fluke. Chromosome number 2, human chromosome number 2, is the result of one of these fusions. Chromosome number 7 that gives us our ability for complex speech, changes in there all exactly at the same time, 200,000 years ago, which is not long, slow, gradual change over time as evolution would suggest. Something happened and we appeared fully intact, fully enabled, just as we are today, and we have not changed in 200,000 years. I don't know what did happen. That is not evolution.
Do you think that you will ever find out what happened?
I believe the scientific thinking has been that we need to find out what happened to understand the fusion. My feeling is just the opposite. If we follow, it's reverse engineering. I'm a scientist. I'm an engineer, software engineer. If we take what we have today and work backward to see what it took to give us what we have today, I think we'll find the answer. Whatever it is, what was happening, but you cannot do it in a vacuum. You can't only look in a microscope and say, here's what happened. You've got to look at the context, what was happening in the world, what was happening on the planet, what was happening in the cosmos, what civilizations were here, because nature doesn't know about those boundaries. Those are the self-imposed boundaries of our mind to put everything in boxes so that we're comfortable thinking about it. But if you remove those boundaries, there's a story that emerges, and it's a beautiful story. It's a powerful story. We're still writing the story. It's our story.
Yeah.
And I think that story will lead us to transcend the hate. It will lead us to transcend the war. And that's, not only is it interesting, I think it's vital. We must embrace the deepest truths of our existence if we're going to move forward as a planetary civilization. And this is what my work, every facet of my work, in some way addresses.